Seattle's contribution to popular music is undisputed. You know the names, from Hendrix to Hart, Pearl Jam, Macklemore, and many, many more in between. In this series, we're going to examine Seattle's music community, in depth with unique performances, with interviews, and much, much more. We're also going to find out what makes Seattle, Seattle, and what makes this city on the shores of the Puget Sound one of the best places on the planet for music. Welcome to Sounds by the Sound.
Let's rock and roll.
Hey, welcome to Sounds by the Sound. My name's Andy Harms. We are in a place called Kerry Park in Seattle's Queen Anne neighborhood, which, as you can see, definitely one of the best views of the city. Space Needle there, Elliott Bay there. Everywhere you look, you see stunning visual beauty. And that visual beauty, in so many ways, inspires the great art that's made here. You can find it everywhere, from band names like Soundgarden. Soundgarden is actually a place in Seattle, and those guys, as they were coming up, were like, you know what? That would also make a good band name as well. You also find the visual beauty just popping up in the art as well, whether or not it's Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, who grew up in a town called Bremerton, and would often take the ferry boat into downtown Seattle for rock shows. It's hard to imagine him not being inspired by all the beautiful things that he saw on that boat trip, time in and time out. One of our favorite bands, Kithkin, also just went to the woods south of Seattle to make a music video on their own. In today's episode, we're going to introduce you to a guy named Rocky Votolato, who got his start in a rock band called Waxwing here in Seattle, but over the last 15 years has been making solo records. And you're just not going to find a nicer, more hardworking, more talented guy. We're going to take Rocky in a rowboat in the middle of the lake with his acoustic guitar for a performance. We'll also talk to Rocky about his journey through the Northwest music community over the last 2 decades. So right now, let's go to Lake Washington with Rocky Votolato in that boat and with that acoustic guitar. You're watching Sounds by the Sound. We are at the Waterfront Activities Center at the University of Washington with a guy, I feel like we can use many adjectives to describe him. I would say talented, hardworking, extraordinarily kind, a sharp dresser.
Hey.
It's Rocky Votolato.
Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you, Rocky.
Good to be
nice
here.
to see you.
Yeah.
With compassion in the story for all the beggars and all the whores. Please leave a little more for me.
Rocky, can we talk about how you found your way to the Pacific Northwest?
I grew up in Texas, and then I moved up here in high school, actually.
When you came here and you started getting involved in the music community, what was the reality like?
You know, I saw just punk bands who were starting out, my friends' bands playing,
cool.
And it was hugely influential to me because I got to see bands like Fugazi and, you know, Modest Mouse, Death Cab. I played with them when they were first starting out.
At what point did you start making your own music?
As soon as I started going to see bands play, I just wanted to write.
Sure.
I started writing right out of the gate.
Hold on one second. It wouldn't be Seattle without a little bit of rain.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely. We're cool with it. We're fine. Coming up in Seattle and playing music in that time, is there a specific vibe or attitude that you found in the community here?
It's more about authenticity and being honest and artistic expression and just embracing that, and not necessarily about getting famous. Getting successful in any business is a good goal to have. Like, of course, you want to reach people with your music, but it's just like the vibe here was really just about authenticity and honesty and, you know, just expressing music for the sake of music.
Close the door, walk into the street, catching raindrops on your tongue. And for a minute it all stops, but it won't last, man, just a passing moment gone.
This is a song called Tinfoil Hats. Reminded me the only way to keep aliens from reading your mind is to wear a tinfoil hat, friend, and wear it all the time. Life keeps on changing, tell it to stay still, but it won't listen. I just want you near me like you are now. You're good. All right. Transistor tape recorder, tell me about everything that I lost. I know you got it all stored somewhere, but still keeping my fingers crossed. Life keeps on changing, tell it to stay still, but it won't listen. I just want you near me like you are now. Good, keep it for good.
We're gonna have more from Rocky Votolato a little later in the episode. We're also gonna go to Seattle's Kubota Gardens and meet up with Perfume Genius and talk about his Northwest music journey. Right now, we are in Kerry Park. Sounds by the Sound. Right here, okay. Welcome back to Sounds by the Sound. We are in Kerry Park in Seattle's Queen Anne neighborhood. It's one of the best views, as you can see, of the city. Right now we're gonna go to Kubota Gardens, which is south of Seattle, to talk to a guy named Perfume Genius, who over the last couple of years has made some of the best records, not just in Seattle, but really on the planet. Rolling Stone in 2014 called his last album one of the best and most surprising of the year. He's absolutely doing something right. So here's Perfume Genius right now in Kubota Gardens. You're watching Sounds by the Sound.
I know you worry, baby, sometimes. Maybe, baby, you were right. I know you worry, baby, sometimes. Maybe, baby, you were right. I can see for miles, the same old line, the same old line, the same old line.
I want to say that I feel like you operate from Seattle, but maybe outside of this community. What you've done has been done kind of on your own, and you've made this happen on your own, and you've done it with a record label that's outside of Seattle.
I just suddenly started making music, which is very dramatic to say, like I just suddenly started making music.
But that's kind of how it was, wasn't it? Didn't you
Yeah,
just
it was.
wake up one day and write your first song?
Yeah, I've always wanted to write music. I allowed myself to follow through on a song, and I liked it and became kind of obsessed.
How did the town help you out once you started making your own music and wanting to get that music out there?
Well, KXP has been very kind to me, you
Yeah.
know. I never expected to hear my music on the radio. So that was a big deal, to do sessions or just even hearing, you know, being in the car and hearing your song. That was an amazing feeling.
Do you record in studios? Do you record kind of on your own in your house?
I usually make a bunch of really strange demos
Yeah.
on my own, and they end up being kind of the diet version of what ends up on the album. The last two albums, at least, have been in a studio.
Is there an attitude or any specific tone of the people that live up here that you specifically gravitate towards? You like this about people from Seattle or the Pacific Northwest?
I think, you know, people are really into like dressing always like they're going to be camping at any moment.
That's very true.
And I don't, I've always wondered about that. Like if you go to a fancy restaurant, people are just wearing their like best camping stuff.
Seattle prides itself, I think, on being this like artistic town and this very progressive town. Do you view it that way?
I do. Seattle's very easy to be in, you know, and I think it frees people up to try things, you know.
Well, thank you very
Okay.
much for taking the time to be
You're
here.
welcome.
I
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. It's again, it's been very fun kind of seeing you create, kind of start off, make these records, get this sort of attention. It is Perfume Genius on Sounds by the Sound. Welcome back to Sounds by the Sound.
In a minute, we're headed back to Lake Washington for another great performance and more from our interview with Rocky Votolato. But first, I wanted to show you one of Rocky's music videos called Hospital Handshakes. It's the title track from his latest record. Check it out.
exercise or an exorcism. Firework pilots fly towards the explosion. In the sky, the bright colored lights suffering the horizon of my mind. I'm a patient with no patience. Hospital handshakes. We must each be broken if we're ever to be made new again. Current of this currency is painting me
You are a great example of a guy that does really a lot on your own.
I've been self-managed most of my career. I have had periods where I had management or management team helping me, but I've recorded my own albums, I've booked my own tours. Like for instance, I did these things called living room tours.
Will you explain the concept of a living room tour, because it's so unique?
These shows are great because they're super organic. I feel like it's how music was just originally intended to be enjoyed. There's no PA system, there's no stage, no lights. You know, I show up to someone's home and just get out my guitar and start playing right there. It's a ticketed event, so we sell like anywhere from 30 to 50 tickets. So it's super intimate. You know, people love it. I've been doing them all over the world.
And you just got off the road right now.
Yep.
There's a brand new record out called Hospital Handshakes.
That's right. This record, it's kind of a rebirth in a way. I went through a period of writer's block, and I was having a hard time just figuring out what direction to go in. I reached a point where that finally broke, and I wrote like 30 songs in a 2-month period, and that became Hospital Handshakes.
Well, appreciate you being here.
Oh,
absolutely.
Man. Yeah,
I appreciate what you're about to do, which is hop on a boat with me and go play some music.
Absolutely.
It's Rocky Votolato on Sounds by the Sound.
All right, this song's called This Is My Work. It's from Hospital Handshakes. Found out there's a lot more going on underneath the hood than I thought. Broken pieces are breaking down. Oh my God, every other hour. The way you dance around singing off key, decorating our new apartment. It's the only thing holding my strings as I'm floating over the entire scene. Don't let me go. I wanna be here for you. I wanna be exactly what you want me to. Baby, if we're the total sum of the promises kept, vows broken, baby doll, just please keep holding on.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Sounds by the Sound. A couple of things to put on your list next time you visit Seattle. First, Kerry Park, which is one of the most beautiful views of the city. Also, Kubota Gardens, which is south of this city. You're maybe not going to find that in all your guidebooks, but it's definitely a beautiful spot worth the time and energy it takes to get there. Also, a very special thank you to Perfume Genius for spending some time with us, and Rocky Votolato for an incredible performance. This has been Sounds by the Sound.